How's everybody doing today?
Woo!
Sorry, I'm fighting with the mic. Okay. I don't know about you guys, but I love living in Florida. I can't believe it took me so long to realize this was the place for me, because I've always acted older for my age, hung out with older people, and now I drive like an old lady. Pair that with my love of the beach, sunshine, and alcohol, and it's a no-brainer. This is where I belong. I grew up in South Georgia where there's a Baptist church on every corner, but here there's a liquor store on every corner. It's great. Yeah, I live in a little 55 and up community. You may have heard of it, Palm Coast. I love living in a retirement community though, because there's early bird specials, happy hours every day, and I get to hang out with older people. But you know who really suffers here? The prostitutes. It's not a great profession for a retirement community. When all your clients are on a fixed income, it is hard to make a living. When you're given blowjobs on golf carts for the same price as a fish and chip special.
$8.
It's gonna take you forever to make your rent, and that's way too much work. No. But I love living in Florida because of the beach. I love the beach. The beach is great. But I have learned not to sit too close to the ocean unless you like collecting sand and shells in uncomfortable places, especially our sand here. You'll be picking shells out of your hoo-ha for a week. Plus, the beach is one of the only public places I know of where you get there and take off clothes. And then you basically walk in around in your underwear, and it's perfectly acceptable. Most people might have a problem with this, but you know who doesn't? The men in Speedos. That's right, these guys have the highest self-esteem of anybody on the planet because it's never the hot, fit guys. It's always the hairiest, saggiest, full-bellied men you've ever seen. Talk about low-hanging fruit. But no, in order to walk around naked like that, I have to be a little bit spontaneous, but I'm not usually. I did try being spontaneous one time. I was on a cruise, and I decided to have sex on the balcony, but I'm not much of a risk taker, so I wore a life jacket. You should have seen those tan lines. It was bad. Not cute. No, I love living here though, because I get to hang out with older people. I can't hang out with young people anymore. I just discovered I'm getting old because I went out during spring break not that long ago. There were college kids everywhere. When did 21-year-olds start looking 14? And why do I have the sudden urge to call these girls moms and ask them why if they know their kids are running around half naked? Shortest skirts I've ever seen, I promise. But now I'm glad I don't have a job checking IDs because it's hard to look cool in front of these young people when you got to put on your reading glasses to look at their birthdays. But they're great though. They're fun, full of hope, optimism, and tequila. Plus, they can still have sex in the back of cars without having to call a chiropractor the next day. So lucky. And they don't have to worry about the same things we do. Like recently, I've been worried about my home security. I got a little freaked out and I thought somebody might break in, so I figured I might need to get a weapon. So I put a knife in my bedside drawer, which sounds smart, right? Except, you know what else I keep in my bedside drawer? My sex toys. So if I get startled in the middle of the night, I have a 1 in 10 chance of actually pulling a knife out.
Yeah.
Which works out pretty good most of the time if I'm horny. But I just hope those vibrators are strong enough to stun an intruder long enough for me to get away. Maybe squirt lube in their eyes, I don't know. Either way, I really need to work on my home security system. But you know, I'm not that easy to kidnap. You may have noticed I have a few extra pounds on me, and it is not just because I like pizza and ice cream. It's actually a defense mechanism because I am harder to kidnap, and In case anybody wants to stab me, I have built-in shank padding. Also, I'm very unlikely to blow away in a hurricane, so it works out pretty good. But I do kind of have to blame my parents for me being overweight, and I'll tell you why. When I was a kid, my dad and I would go to Blockbuster on the weekends, and we would rent movies, and he would get movies he thought I liked. So we'd go home, and me and my mom and dad would sit down and watch these movies, and everything would be great until the sex scenes would come on. So my mom, she was very strict on what I could watch, and my dad had no idea how to filter for a kid. So most of the time, an inappropriate scene would come on, and my mom would jump up and yell, "Helen, go to the kitchen and get a cookie," as she hurled herself in front of the TV, and I would be banished to the kitchen for 5 minutes to eat cookies. Since this occurred so much when I was a kid, I have to blame my parents for me being overweight, because now that I'm grown, I like sex. Who doesn't, right? And while most people could enjoy a nice cigarette or a nightcap after a romp in the hay, I have to have my cookies. Well, being an adult is hard, and dating is really hard. I have a couple of friends who decided to make spreadsheets of all the people they slept with, and I thought, oh, that's a great idea, I'll try it. So I did it, but I think I did it wrong because I ended up needing an external hard drive. But I think maybe it was because of the illustrations. I can't be expected to remember everybody's names, guys. But most men I dated, I feel like they're kind of like a period. I was sad when they came, but happy to see them go. And then a while back, I was dating. I did online dating, which I hated because most guys lie on their profiles, and they won't even lie about big things. They'll lie about little things too. Like, I was talking to this guy, and we were getting along great, and we decided to meet up for lunch. So I get to the restaurant, and I see him walking up, and he looks a lot like his profile picture, but he comes up a little short. No, literally, he was up to here. I mean, not that there's anything wrong with that, but his profile said he was 5'10", and everybody's got their preferences, so it was really awkward. I didn't know what to do or say, so I just patted him on his head and said, "I'm sorry, buddy, you gotta be this tall to ride this ride." And I laughed. Was that wrong? I don't know.
I know.
But I think I'm probably just too lazy to date, because all these guys out here, they wanted to go kayaking, rowboating, hiking on dates. I'm not into that at all. And if I'm being honest, I don't even like long walks on the beach. I'd rather a short stroll from the stairs to the shore where we sit down and drink a couple of beers. I'm not totally lazy. I'm willing to walk a couple of blocks if we can't find a good parking space at the bar. I will make that sacrifice. I don't know. And maybe I'm just too picky, Maybe I should just go with the mirror test. You stick a mirror under their nose, and if it fogs up, they're acceptable to date. All this talk about dating reminds me when I was younger. I was never into sports because I was terrified of getting hit in the face with balls. But look at me now. That's it for me. And do I announce the next person? Woo! I'm Helen Joy. Next up is Jamon. You've seen him in Jacksonville. You've seen him in Flagler Beach. He's all over the place. Please give it up for Jamon.